Have you ever just sat there, looking at your to-do list, and a voice in your head whispers, "What if I'm just lazy?" I'm going to tell you right now, that feeling isn't your fault. It's a signal, and in the next few minutes, we're going to decode exactly what your brain is so desperately trying to tell you.
Look, for most of our lives, we've been sold this idea that being unproductive is some kind of moral failure. But what if that's a complete lie? Seriously, we're not here to talk about hustle culture or how to just try harder. We're here to completely reframe this, because psychologically, laziness isn't who you are. It's a symptom of something way deeper going on.
So on one side, you have the lie we're all told. You lack discipline. You're not trying hard enough. It's all on you. But on the other side, we have the psychological truth, and it's so much kinder. It says your brain isn't being lazy, it's going into protection mode. This isn't about being weak, it's about biology. It's about survival.
So, why does this even happen? I mean, why can you get totally lost in a video game for 6 hours straight, but you can't bring yourself to answer one single important email? Well, the answer is all about how your brain is wired to save energy.
Think of your brain like a phone with a low battery. When your mental and emotional energy gets dangerously low, it automatically switches into conservation mode. It starts prioritizing things that are easy, comfortable, and give a quick reward, just to save power. And listen, this is absolutely crucial. It's a biological instinct, not a conscious choice you're making.
And this right here, this explains that paradox perfectly. Your brain doesn't run on discipline. It runs on a chemical called dopamine. Video games, anime, they are literally designed to give you a steady drip of it. You get clear goals, instant feedback, and a really fair reward for your effort. But real-life tasks? The goals are often vague, the feedback is delayed, and who knows if the reward will even be worth it. So of course your brain chooses the guaranteed dopamine hit. It's just being efficient. And this leads us to the single most important and maybe most uncomfortable truth we're going to talk about. We all wait to feel motivated to start doing something. But that is completely backward. The real secret is that you have to create a little bit of momentum first, and only then will the motivation actually show up. Psychologists have a name for this, the behavioral activation loop. It all starts with one tiny, almost ridiculously small action. That tiny action gives your brain a little reward, a little hit of dopamine. That reward builds a tiny spark of motivation, which then makes the next tiny action just a little bit easier. It's a cycle. It's like starting a tiny snowball at the top of a hill.
Okay, so before we get into the how-to, let's just pause for a second. Let's do a quick, completely judgment-free check-in to see what kind of signal your own brain might be sending you. This isn't a test, it's just a moment to be honest with yourself.
First question, just think about it. How has your energy been lately?
Are you feeling pretty stable and steady? Or maybe a little drained, but you're still getting by? Or does it feel more like you're tired even when you get rest, maybe exhausted most days? Or are you just completely burned out? Just notice which one lands for you.
Okay, next up, let's think about connection. How connected do you feel to the people in your life right now?
Do you feel, for the most part, supported and understood? Or are you just kind of around people but feel emotionally distant? Maybe you feel misunderstood. Or maybe you feel completely alone.
All right, now let's tune into that voice inside your own head. How critical has that inner narrator been lately? Is it mostly kind to you, or do you notice it being occasionally harsh? Maybe it's often full of self-doubt, frequently critical, or is it just a constantly negative soundtrack in your head? And one last little check-in for now. When you look ahead, do you feel hopeful about the future?
Is it a solid yes? Or are you maybe cautiously optimistic? Or does it feel more unsure, pessimistic? Or maybe right now, it just feels hopeless?
So, the full version of this check-in has 15 questions. If you were to score each of your answers from 1 to 5 and add them up, you'd get a total score. Let's take a quick look at what those scores might be trying to tell you.
And again, this is not about labeling yourself or putting you in a box. Not at all. This is just about gaining awareness. It's about finally understanding the signal.
So a lower score, somewhere in that 15 to 24 range, probably means you're feeling pretty balanced. Awesome. As the score starts to climb, you move from just being stressed but coping into full-on survival mode. That's when you're getting through your day, sure, but it's costing you a lot. And a really high score, that's a huge red flag that your nervous system is just overloaded. It's a sign that you've been pushing way too hard for way too long without enough recovery. So if you see yourself in those higher scores, what on earth do you do about it? Well, the answer is definitely not more harsh discipline. It's about learning to build gentle, compassionate momentum.
And this is just brilliant, because the strategy actually changes depending on the signal. If the feeling is that deep, heavy lack of motivation that feels like depression, the key is tiny, low-pressure goals and a ton of self-compassion. But if the signal feels more like overwhelm, like you're drowning in tasks, the strategy shifts. It's all about breaking things down into absurdly small steps and focusing only on what's the very next thing, not the whole mountain.
This is so freeing. This quote gives you permission to let go of all that pressure to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect 5-year plan. All you need is to be a little curious about the next small experiment. What's one tiny thing you could just try?
So instead of leaving you with the question, how do I stop being so lazy, which is a terrible question, I want to leave you with a much better one. What's the hard, meaningful thing you actually want to be moving toward? And what is one tiny, ridiculously small, experimental step you can take in that direction today?
Because that is how you start working with your brain instead of constantly fighting against it. And I promise you, once you truly understand that laziness is just a signal, you'll start noticing it everywhere.